Hello and welcome to the last before the last discussion of the Wars of Light and Shadow series. We are working our way through the final book, and this is the second last discussion that we have been having for the series. I'm one of the people who takes the dust jacket off. Anyway, the today's discussion is going to be chapters 13 through 16. 15, 13 through 15. And the next discussion will be for the last three chapters. And as usual, we're going to be doing full spoilers for everything that happened up to this point. And we'll have a final discussion. I think Janny might be joining us for that. We're still working out the details with her, but the author will join us for that final discussion. And it might be a live stream. We'll see in a couple of weeks from now. Keep an eye out for that. If you've finished the series and or are considering reading it, we'll try and do maybe a spoiler-free section at the beginning. Yeah, I think that's everything. With me, of course, we have the usual group of friends. Jared, introductions.
Yes, I am the Fantasy Thinker. That's my YouTube channel, and you can find me there, as well as on the podcast Speculations and other podcasts on Page Chewing.
Very nice. And Chibi-Bo.
I'm Chibi-Po. I can be found lurking on Page Chewing and on Blue Sky, and yeah, great to be here. I am not a number, and I will not be indexed.
You are not a number. Okay, I'm missing that reference. Okay. So speaking of numbers, we start chapter 13 with some dragon action. I forget where we left off. We knew that Ilera realized that Arathon was going to the Koryani, and she followed him there. And then, oh yeah, I think we got to the point where Arathon was trapped in some darkness, and he had sent out a plea to the Paravian Queen Regent to come help, and he was sort of trying to fend off the dragons by himself, and Ilera had her 2-day wait period before she could return to Arathon. That's where we left off at the end of chapter 12.
Yeah,
Very good.
In the conflict with Wurts, and she was doing her traversal thing.
Right.
As at the end of it, to try and rush in and save him.
Yep. And so, this chapter had a lot of stuff going on. And and so it's going to be interesting to try to pick our way through it, because there was something about Siantra in the beginning. Is she with Sescrochial?
Seems like it.
Yeah, is tagged along. Yes,
in his eye, just like what's his name?
Lou Haynes there too. But.
yeah. Okay, and then there was something about Cry Through the Elements being summoned by Ilera, and she's using adept magic, right? In order to try to get back to her body. Is that?
I don't know what she's using. I think she's got her link to Arathon, and there was some event that they needed to wait for that the adept told her to wait for. I'm not sure if it was one of those flux events that the Fellowship sorcerers use for their magic. But yeah, she the impression I got was she rode some sort of wave and even directed it to get back to Arathon.
All right.
And
yeah, essentially she's doing the same thing she did when she passed through to Kiwar.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that is correct.
Right. And only in this instance, it appears there's possibly due to the what he did with the hostile, uncapping the thing that had been sealed off. um, that uh, all the energies that are polarized and everything have to be lined up just right, and her window is like the 2 days, hence, and then
Right.
she can ride that wave through to, him, and then through him back into her body.
Okay. Very good. And we found out that uh like I remember last time we were talking, we were like, why did Arathon leave Elithiel behind? And this chapter they confirmed it was specifically because he didn't want Lorenda to get a hold of it. He didn't want the Courier thing to get a hold of it.
Right. If he
Which
failed, he
yeah,
couldn't let them have that.
I found that yeah, I like that confirmation because we were kind of guessing at that at the last chapter, but it was good to get that confirmation of that. Yeah, and so now we have Arathon fighting some drakes, right? And using some Master Bard magic.
Yeah, I don't. I think he's more sort of holding them off or giving them
Holding them off,
the
yeah.
sense of his humanity. Like basically, he's singing all his very intense experiences over the last few centuries,
Yes.
and the drakes are being forced to rethink their opinion of the, let's say, uselessness of humanity.
Yeah.
And um
And
yeah.
at the same time, we have Davian and Ascender fighting dragons on the other side of the gate, right?
Hmm.
And it was just a pretty cool contrast going back and forth with these two, um, both fending off dragons or drakes in some manner or another. But the drakes seem to have never have faced song magic before,
No.
and that was kind of new to them.
Yeah, because they're also like super immature and everything. Um, but I did like, when with back on Seth Corgiel and Luhane and Ciantra, how when uh, Luhane's talking about it, and Seth Corgiel's just like, yeah, so I your moat's animal carcass has been just been displaced to Vastmark, and so it'll be there, or your body will be there waiting for us, just like casually. It's like no big thing, whatever. I've moved your body.
Wait, whose body? The moles?
She moat. She says moat, which she's referring to Ciantra, because
Hmm.
the dragons uh, don't really perceive uh, that human beings are anything more than some random dragon somewhere, imagined them into being.
Hmm.
They don't think they're really their own independent beings.
Right.
I see. That's where their is what I'm looking for. Disdain for humans comes from. Interesting.
Yeah, to them, they're just like, someone made one of our dragons somewhere made these. We don't know who, but they're just playthings for us.
One of our dragons somewhere made these creatures called humans. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So okay, so Arathon sang to the moles. Sesh Crochil, meanwhile, is flying her way to this place, I think, and she catches a bit of Arathon's song too, or does he say or do something specially for Sesh Crochil, which not through the moles, but through Sesh Crochil, all the other dragons also got a whiff of this, so now they're all realigning their view of humanity.
Because, yeah, when one dragon thinks something, they all kind of latch on to that. So they all know.
Yeah,
Interesting.
have a collective, sort of a collective, unconsciousness. Like we know, even they're. I think they're even aware of their dead dreaming. So,
Hmm.
um,
But the moles aren't privy to this. I'm wondering why it took Sesh Crochil to spread this awareness and not what Arathon was doing with the young dragons.
If I understand it, since they haven't reached their full maturity and they haven't really established their own identity, so they're very much like, you know, I'd say the Molts are. They're very much like toddlers. They're just like, whatever, we do what we want. They don't really have a um,
But they're not plugged into the collective consciousness.
I wouldn't say that, but I don't think their influence on it is
Okay.
fully developed. So, whereas she's fully mature and everything. So,
Okay.
And we also get Lorenda.
she describes them as scatterbrained molts.
Scatterbrained molts.
Recklessly tempted of all. They're just like, we just go do whatever.
Cool. All right. And and we have Lorenda haggling for terms. And she's like haggling with Arathon and Sescrochial, right? And she's telling Arathon that she promises I'll let Alara go free, and once my bargain with the dragons closed, and the order will have no more use for her. And she's trying to say that we be better caretakers than the sorcerers, and so it of course it didn't work out for her, but I found it interesting that this was kind of the culmination of all these years of Coriani manipulating to try to come to this. You finally come to this one spot where you can make your final argument. You can make your final, basically, what do you call that in a trial? Your defensive statement or whatever, and of course she comes up short eventually. And I wonder if Moriel would have made a better case if she had survived to this point or not. I'm kind of curious about that. I don't know if was it Lorenda's lack of knowledge of everything, like because she didn't master the final, the final step to becoming a prime, or
I don't know. I feel like I don't think that Moriel would have had any better luck. Because there was a whole sense, throughout the whole thing, the first time I read it, where I felt like Sescrocia wasn't really paying any attention to Lorenda at all. Lorenda was just chattering at her, and she's giving her about as much attention as you would an ant, that you accidentally stepped on. Like, she didn't really acknowledge her at all. I think, does she even really? It's like she talks to her at her at one point, but
yeah,
she makes assumptions that that she's got an agreement with the dragon and everything, but Sescroziel's just doesn't really give any sense.
Yeah, she claims the sorcerers have failed, but you're right that Sescrochial doesn't really give her.
Yeah, she's like, a meddlesome craving for power to rival the sorcerers serves no meaningful purpose. That's like,
right.
So
Lorenda replies back with some stuff, but
Sescrochial wasn't appreciative of Lorenda because she's still processing the song that Arathon was singing. Was it like I don't fully follow what happened in that scene. So there was so the things that we know, Lorenda made a deal with some random dragons who aren't happy about the fellowship protection of the Paravians, and they shouldn't be doing any dreaming that destroys the Paravians. So she made a deal with them and said, I'll give you Arathon and you give me fellowship superpowers. So she brought Arathon and some molds came here, but there were no big dragons though. I thought she made the deal with the moles, but with the big some big dragon, but like a fully grown dragon. But we had a bunch of moles here who were toying with Arathon. And then Sesh Groshil showed up, told the moles what's what, was influenced by Arathon's song, uh, and I think decided that Lyrenda wasn't worth consideration, but she did listen to Lyrenda for a while. Lyrenda said something. Uh, I think she said like the fellowship hasn't been doing a great job, and Sesh Groshil considered it because there was this pause when I forget who, maybe it was a fellowship sorcerer, so like,
Oh, right in mid sentence. Wow.
Yeah,
So
I was waiting because I was going to be like, "There's the, oh, she's back."
mid. There we go. Back from mid sentence. Okay, there we go.
yeah, anyway, the so, sorry, were you guys about starting something else because I could.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So Sesh Kroshil had a moment of decision making to do, at the end of which what happens is Arathon and Ilera get fellowship superpowers, not Lyrenda. And then while Ilera's coming back through that wave that she's riding, um, I guess the Queen Regent, to whom Arathon sent his appeal, finds an entry point back into this darkness that she couldn't breach before. So she comes back in, and Lyrenda gets subjected to Paravian glory and loses all the layers that she's built on herself, and she becomes finally maybe something resembling a decent human being. So I guess the thing that I'm confused on is Sesh Groshil's decision making, like what happened there, because it felt like Arathon and Ilera got, I think in the discussion we get in the next section, Arathon and Ilera were granted the fellowship superpowers um, as sort of a way for Dragonkind to keep its promise to Lyrenda. But I guess the terms were murky about who gets the immortality with in the deal that Lyrenda made. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was interesting. I'd like to break that down further and see what happened. I don't know what decisions the dragon made and why.
Well, it was interesting that Arathon kind of had to step in for to be a spokesman for mankind um,
Mm.
through his song. Something he was kind of reluctant to take on as that role, but he was kind of pushed into that role at this point because of the
Oh,
situation he
that's
was in.
right. He straight up refused. He's like, I'm not going to be a plaything for you.
Yeah.
Lirenda's like, I'm going to make my case, and then Arathon says, I'm not going to participate. I will not deign to even acknowledge that this is a game that is worth playing. I think, yeah, he's like, I'm not. I think he says he rejects the premise that human beings need to justify their existence to dragonkind. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
we are our own people. We're not going to explain to you why we deserve to live. I'm not going to participate. And I think that's what turns Sesh Crucial.
Right.
She,
Well, also, he also evoked his pledge to the Paravian Queen Regent, and I was kind of trying to figure out exactly what that means,
oh, that's right.
you know, and if that and that I think that also had some influence on Sisgroshiel's decision. I think.
Yeah, I think he said, I didn't understand how this played out, but I think he said Sesh Crucial cannot do anything to him until the Queen Regent adjudicates his request. Uh, so it's not so. In the previous chapter, he sent out a request to the Queen Regent and said, please help me stem this flow." But he didn't hear back from her because the darkness was too dark and she couldn't breach it.
The line was busy. Yeah.
Yeah. So so he said, until I hear back from her, like I'm not going to you can't do anything to me, I think. But I don't know, I don't understand the that reasoning why those two are dependent
Yeah,
on
I
each
was kind
other.
of like I was trying to figure out what that meant. That
Hmm.
what does that really mean? That he had a pledge into the Queen Regent, and what is I don't remember what that pledge was or what exactly he was asking for. I don't know if Chibi, if you remember that at all.
Oh, the pledge was, I think he wanted her help to stem the thing that he opened, and in exchange he'll do anything that she asks, I
Oh,
think.
was that it? Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, GB.
Let me.
Page 557 has that, again. You can read it. Uh, I pledge to do anything in my power, whatever you ask, if you will defend what is not mine, to yield through the course of this crisis.
Yes, that was it.
My word set under seal by Ath's light and by the surety of Darkaron's redress,
Right.
do with me as you must to secure the containment and safeguard Athira's
Right.
mysteries.
So what is that going to entail? What does that mean? I mean, obviously nothing has happened yet, and then Sescrochial, like you said, made them immortal. Uh, and so I'm just kind of curious what that's going to mean for the future. It's an interesting point. That's not. I don't think we have an answer yet, but I think it's something we definitely got to keep an eye out
Yeah.
for.
So the sequence of discourse, I think, was when Lyrenda says, "Give me the power, and I'll deal with this. Like you don't need Arathon to stem this overflow from what he did with the Bidar knife." And then Arathon says, "Nope, that's not going to happen. I actually asked the Queen Regent to help." So I don't know why those two are mutually exclusive. Um, like why his plea to the Queen Regent precludes Lyrenda from doing anything about it.
Yeah, and he said I tasked Sescrocio under the same formal terms to seal the breach well if it means to serve the world's balance becomes wrested from me.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorenda's scornful, of course. And
And then yeah, this was the most interesting bit when Sesh Krushil says thrice is final. So what happened thrice that Sesh Krushil put the seal on?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Chibi, do you know? No. Okay.
She did lower her massive jowls over the prime's offer gambit. Did she eat her?
Guess not. There was a news item about her just
Yeah, later on.
wanting to humbly learn how to heal. It's from the Grey Sisters.
Yeah, and then they got their superpowers. They were
Yeah.
seized by the Drake magic that gave the Fellowship the same powers and made them no longer mortal,
Yeah.
which was very interesting. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and then in the next section, the anthem section, um, so Lorenda's like done. Lorenda was earlier. She was cursing the existence of um, that the Bidar knife. That kind of messed up a lot of her plans. Uh, so that was another thing in that big, huge scheme of events that was part of this whole. There was a very big, complicated, long, you know. I want. I don't want to say battle. It wasn't like all battle. It was kind of just a big sequence of events, a big discourse between all these different powers, and of course, even the knife was slid in there as part of this whole thing, and like so much happened in that this one little section. It's just like wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I think what I liked about these 3 chapters, the middle section, the middle chapter was a bit of a break, I think, from the great intensity of chapters 13 and 15. But it felt like I can sort of see the connections or the through lines for a lot that happens in the previous books or even earlier in the book, especially with chapter 15. I think many of the things that happened before, they build up to um, where we went in chapter 15. And even chapter 13, the song that Arathon sings to um, I guess, implant humanity as their own beings in the dragon's mind. That I think we can sort of look back to all the events of the previous books, right? That's essentially what he uses. His
Mhm. Yeah.
his I guess trials in Curse of the Mistrate with like Talcor, and the thing that sort
Yeah.
of made him, then his experience as a master bard, of course, is what let him sing. And then his trials at Keywa, his I think the vast mark stuff,
That's
all the
Mark. Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
that sort of made him and that like he lived through, he they are so intense and his song about them is so intense that he was able to do this with the dragons, right? Because humanity has existed for ages, and the dragons have all this time perceived them as moles or moat. Was it molt or moat? Anyway, but like Arathon's experience built up over these centuries is what allows him to change their mind. So you can see sort of like the connecting points or the through lines across all the books that lead to these, I guess, climactic events in this book.
Yeah. And of course, there is the mention of love winning out, right?
Yeah, that
For
too.
him and Alara. Yep. So it was a very exciting chapter and a very intense and just chock full of stuff. Like it's one of the most packed chapters I think we've read.
Yes. This was a sandwich of chapters where the first and last had the meat and the middle was the
uh,
I'm sorry. Sorry, Janny, for comparing your chapters to a
to a
sandwich.
sandwich. um,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
the thrice is final thing. I had to dig that up. So that comes for he made the pledge to Marivalia twice. Um, uh, he first in which Aria on page 515, um, which I think might be in the last batch of chapters, but um, is where he first makes it. Because he's wanting there, but he doesn't get a response. Then he then makes the appeal the second time
oh
with
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Sescrogial there,
And when was the
uh,
third?
and then appends it that if she doesn't respond, see, if the Pravian queen withholds her assessment, the third statement is final, and then he tasks Sescrogial under the same formal terms to seal the breach well if the means to serve the world's balance becomes wrested from me.
Okay.
Uh,
So the Queen Regent doesn't answer her phone calls, so Sescrotial's got to take up the task.
But
also,
why does that mean, like, why does that mean that Sash Crochiel denies Lyrenda? Because Lyrenda was saying, give me power and I'll fix it. You don't need this guy or the Paravian he's calling upon. So why would Sash Crochiel take on that burden? Or like, what about this whole exchange binds Sash Crochiel?
what when Sescrogial goes to make her decision, and Earthen did his whole thing, throwing open, basically throwing his, the whole of his being, and
Right.
in her face right as Alara returns. And then that Seshkurgiel had agreed to the bargain with Erethan. When he said and she said Thrace is final, and that was her agreeing to her bargain with Erethan. She just decided that Lorinda, she wasn't going to acknowledge Lorinda at all, basically. And what Erethan did, to touch on when you said that, we can see the little through lines, the whole bit, we got the first setup of this was traced back to Stormed Fortress, with the whole bit where Asandir and Davian and Seshkurgiel, and those, that whole bit where they dealt with the Grimward and the Loose Wraith, by introducing concepts to Seshkurgiel that were not dragon, and planted that first seed of of humanity in them, which is while we saw Davian was off doing his thing, with Asandir and whatnot, because they that had fully combined with what Erethan did with the molds, had fully gotten into them, and they were all kind of raging because they didn't understand how to deal with those things that were not dragon. And then once Seshkurgiel realized that oh hey, these aren't just these mortals, motes aren't just figments of our imagination, but actual beings in and of themselves. She's like, oh yeah, nope, and then Alara's passing through brought the unicorn, and completely tipped the worldview of the dragons, and how they perceive everything, and
Yes,
unbalanced agreements, unbalanced bargain. So thus they got granted the
that's right.
to tip, balance the scales.
Yeah, because later on in Anthem, it says the Riathan's presence disrupted the arc of probability. Dragonkind's fixated prerogative had been overturned, shattered by the discovery that they were not the sole arbiters of existence.
Yeah.
I see. So, so Seshkurgiel got interrupted by the Riathan, or did the Riathan show up before? No, I think as soon as she did, Lyrenda sort of lost it, right? I think she got buried under the Paravian glory. So this exchange about Thrice's final happened before the Queen Regent showed up.
Well, Marivelia doesn't show up herself.
She sent somebody.
Oh, it was the unicorn.
It was a unicorn, yeah.
Because
sorry, Marivelia is a sun child.
Yes, she's the one who we met her once before, back in Storm Fortress. She wasn't named then, but she's the one who sang when he went to the King's Grove.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of there was a lot of talk in Anthem about the differences that they made to open the dragon's eyes to the the possibilities of difference and stuff like that. There was a lot of explanation in that next section about that, which was interesting.
Yeah. When Satvir went to talk to not the crone, but an aspect of Mother Darkness buried under a volcano or something.
That was a crone.
That was a crone? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they were the same thing. Okay. So he expressed discontent at the fact that what Arathon did to fulfill his obligation to the Bidar to remove the Koryathain-induced necromancy changed Dragon's view of humanity, and now the Fellowship have to deal with the consequences of that. So he seemed unhappy about that. I would have thought that it would be something the fellowship would be happy about, but maybe he's like, you gave us extra work to do it. I kind of got that impression, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, he was asking to get Arathorn's blood obligation released back to them.
Yeah, and she
Yeah,
refused.
I think, yeah.
But that was interesting because they both wanted the same thing. I think Sethvir wanted Arathorn back so they could use him the for defeating the Mistwraith, and the Bedar Crone wanted the same thing, but she decided she will do it a different way. But I didn't get the impression that Satvir left that meeting too happy about it, knowing that they have the same end.
Yeah,
I
I mean, it is left with a question mark, so we don't really know. But
hmm.
we'll see. We'll see, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have Lorenda the healer.
Yes. Too little, too late, Lorenda. Way too little, way too late.
Yeah. And I love the name of this. I think the name of this chapter is very apt, Concerto, because it's just grand and contains so much. Whereas the next chapter is titled Solo, which kind of calms it down a little bit and focuses a little bit more on
Yeah.
some characters
Yes.
rather than having the big, huge anthem or what have you.
Yeah, we find out what's going on with Daliana.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and it was interesting. We got Ascendere thanking her for her service that helped to bring the Coriani down, and then he asked for help with his next choice of king. I think, is that right?
Can I just say I love her, her response when Cindy was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you about where Lazaire is, and she's like, I don't care. And Cindy's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, she's had enough. She's had enough.
And
But
Dahlia was
do you think she's
like,
gonna help him though? I don't know if she answered or not, but
uh, he tells her to consider it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that it will.
So the reason for that, for why he's asking her, is that he wants her to be Kate Dane to the new heir, right? Or to
Whoever they,
yeah,
they go and appoint, they go grab off of Dassinator for
yeah.
to
Yeah.
be.
Which reminded me of a scene. I forget if it was early in this book or early in the previous arc. I think it might have been in this book. There is Asandir makes his way to some mountain where the Siganli are currently living, and he chooses a Keith Dane. But I don't recall seeing more of them since.
We haven't seen more of him. It's like he says here, with this one, he's like, what's his name? Where does his name go?
Yeah, there was a sense of I guess impending doom in that chapter, because we are told that the fellowship sorcerers themselves choose a Kate Dane when bad things are about to happen, and they needed, and this person that they chose was sort of an unlikely candidate, because I think he was fond of books more than of fighting or something like that. I seem to recall there being some issue with him which made him an unlikely candidate, but he was chosen.
What's wrong with that?
Right, exactly.
With him, Cyric,
Yeah.
or Cyric, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
His branch of the Saganli line, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you'd probably compare him to Jirit. They're just, really good at keeping survival, but
Hmm.
not necessarily the best choice for once you've got
Administrative,
yeah
yeah.
Got it.
back in Crown Justice. So
So, yeah, and I think, yeah, now that I think of it, it wasn't in this book. It was, I think, in Initiate's trial. But in that same chapter, or in the next chapter soon after that, uh, Asandir also went to talk to Daliana and recruited her to the Fellowship's cause of keeping Lysair's curse under check. So, yeah, I don't know what happened to the other guy. He picked two Kate Danes, and one of them we never heard from again. So I was wondering if we will find out why.
uh, yeah, that the other one was Saurik. It's just
Hmm.
I think all we really get is what Asandir mentions in that one chap in the first section, that he's like, yeah, he's really good at keeping everybody, the Saganli and the clans alive, but um,
Hmm.
not what we need, for this. So
Okay. So I guess his job was to keep that branch of the clan alive through
yeah,
whatever happens. Okay, makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah, maybe we'll find out towards the end that they survived, and yeah.
yeah. They're still alive as far as Uh, well, wait, no, I can't talk about that yet.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. So I think
Lysaea's in misery, right?
yes, that if we're ready to move on to talking about Lysair grubbing it.
Rubbing it. Yeah, that's good. It's a fitting place for him.
Yeah.
Time for him to get over the thin knees and stand up on both feet.
Yes. He's feeling appalled at all the injustices that were allowed through his leadership, um, because of the appropriation of his quote unquote just cause by a religion.
Yeah. Yeah, but then Taryn does the dumb thing and goes and volunteers for a peace talk against the clan wishes. The clan said, this is not a good idea, and he did it anyways. And of course, he gets captured, and while his wife is having a kid at home, and I was like, what are you
This was
doing?
after his wife gave birth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they let him stay long
yeah,
enough.
yeah. Is after his wife? Why is a new kid at home?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing, man?
He was supposed to go back and man some post, right? And instead he did this, especially after what's her name, Lorraine, uh, told him not to.
Yeah.
Um, but Lysair saw him and decided to use him again to capture the guy, to get Arathon here. And the Beta Crone, I guess, at that point decided enough is enough and sends her dartsman to go capture
Yeah.
him.
I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
yeah.
they'd been prowling around, as Terrence noticed.
Hmm.
He was like, yeah, I'm getting out of this, because um,
Hmm.
I know what you're planning, and accused him of it, uh, and then they just they're like, yep. They all stood up and they're like, all right, lights out, buddy.
Yeah. Cool. So
Okay.
next,
So then Sethva did visit the crone again in this chapter.
Yes, yeah, he importuned her back in the little snippet, and then makes the actual visit in Fallen,
so
and they sit down and have tea.
so that's when she tells him that Lysair needs to prove himself. He failed twice, and if he fails thrice, then I don't know. I don't remember what the consequences are if he fails a third time. But this is his chance to prove himself. And
Oh well, yeah. He well, they were talking about the cult of necromancy,
Hmm.
um, and I guess I guess the final one is the mystery, right? That's the
Correct.
Seems
final
like it.
thing,
Yeah.
the final thing to get rid of, um, and yeah, Arathon's not free of the Requiar blood obligation. What was that again?
That was when when Satvir sent said, "Please release Arathon from this obligation so that we can use him for the mistrate." And apparently, he didn't hear back for 7 months, and then he finally visited her where she is. I guess he requested an audience and then showed up, and she refused. But for the same reason, she also wants him to. Well, I guess in her case, it's more that she wants to use Arathon to test Lysair's metal, and in that process also defeat the Mistrates. Whereas with the Fellowship, they just want Arathon to defeat the Mistrate, like with or without Lysair.
Right. All right. So, yeah, Deshia's so yeah. Then finally, Ascendia comes by. He heals Terrans from his ordeal, and then he gives him another mission.
Yes.
What was that mission? I forget now.
I think it was to move the clans away from where they could be hurt by whatever happens with the Mistrate.
Yes, that's correct. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, lots of preemptive measures being taken. And then I think we switched to the scene where Luhain is climbing up the mountain in a repetition of the scene from Curse of the Mistrate, except Luhain is doing the complaining. Now, um, was do I remember correctly that Luhain was in that scene when Dakar was complaining his head off about the difficulty of the climb, and now Luhain is corporal again, and he's complaining about the climb. I thought that was funny.
Is that?
Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Because he's corporal again because of dragon.
yeah.
Um,
I think he
Yeah, yes.
wanted to be.
Yeah,
Cardamon
tired
refused.
of running around.
Yeah.
sure.
And while we're on that subject, Siantra is part dragon now.
She's something. Um,
Yeah.
her exposure to the centaur and what we previously had with um, uh, Athalie, and
Hmm.
she wasn't grounded enough that further exposure to the dragon and the makeup of her being is changing into what? Don't know.
But she seems to have some dragon claws and some, um, like
Yeah,
she's sort of switching back and forth. She's got
yeah,
scales on her face. Yeah.
hasn't said it. So
Yeah, that's right. Cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had in the next chapter 15
Hmm.
chorus, we had Caradmon and Luhain kind of just casually talking about their past genocides
Yeah.
on other worlds. I'm
Yeah.
just like, damn. Uh,
And Luhain is complaining about how Arathon is still too green with his newfound powers, and Caradmon knew Arathon was there all along, and then Luhain tells him off. It's like, why didn't you warn me? And Caradmon says, "It's your problem. You shouldn't have gossiped if you were so worried." I thought that was funny.
so,
Yeah.
but the question I had was the crone put Lysaea's spirit inside the ward with the mist wraith.
Hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes,
So is Lysaea just grubbing around without his spirit?
seems to be. No, with only his spirit remains and his body has disappeared, apparently.
It did disappear.
Yeah, we don't know what's been done with his body. If it's still there or what. But
Oh,
his
okay.
however she did it. She just bypassed all the fellowships. Work and everything, and just tossed
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
inside the flask with all the rest of the mist wraith.
Oh, that's lovely.
And she also left left a mark there, like a serpent eating itself, which seems at first glance to be a sort of ego signature that I was here, declaring that she was there. But Arathon thinks it might be hiding something else. So I'm hoping it'll come to their rescue in a later section while they're
Yeah,
still
as I
wrestling with the
understand
mystery.
it, it's basically the snake on the cover.
Oh, is that the snake eating itself? Oh, that's so cool.
I believe, more or less.
Nice. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Well, I have it because you take your cover off. So
Yes, thank you. But it's not eating itself though. It's just wrapped around
Uh,
itself.
is it? Because I thought that's like the very end of its tail.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yes,
it's just having a nibble.
it is it's braided around itself. Damn, that's a really flexible snake.
Um. So all right. So she put him in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then did I get this right? The Queen Regent has instructed Arathon on how to forge the path through the Mist Wraith's prison and how to get his brother's acquittal, basically.
She, gave him the memory of what they did for him,
Right.
but
Yes.
he has to, so that he can use that as a, like inspiration or a basis for doing the same for Lysair.
More
But
like I say, right.
he'll have to compose. Each song is everybody's song is different, so he'll have to like make it up on the spot. He'll have to freestyle.
Yeah, piece of cake, right?
Yeah, he sang to dragons about humanity. This has to be a piece of cake, right? But um, okay. So they go in to Rockfell after the Fellowship Sorcerers remove the ward and allow them in, and then they put the ward back, and then they leave. And Ilera and Traith are frozen into stasis, so that if the Mistrate does become loose, it can't use their powers for itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
So
Arathon
then,
goes in. Sorry,
yep.
go ahead.
No, you're right. Yep. Keep going.
Arathon goes in, finds Lysair. He sort of goads Lysair into showing himself by poking him about all the women who he thinks betrayed him over the years. And then once he comes to the fore, he separates him from the Mistrate by using Alethea, and then puts a layer of darkness around them, and then offers to swap his body with him so that Lysair can burn the mist off, and then Arathon can sing the spirits free like he did the free rates of Marak. But
Right.
but Lysair is harboring a secret. I don't know if so I only read up to this section, the one called adversaries, I think. And
Yeah.
so Lysair is harboring a secret. Like the crone told him that this is my understanding of it. Tell me if it's correct. That the Mistwraith, when it cursed Lysair, it did something by modifying, like by going back or forward in time, that could be used to destroy the Fellowship. And Lysair has to choose to make a sacrifice to prevent that. And that's what he does when the body swap happens. He immediately uses as much power as he possibly can to burn
Yeah,
out
he,
the mist.
he lets loose. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm fairly certain that was a preemptive measure to prevent himself from being misused. But I'm not fully sure if what was happening instead was the thing that could break the fellowship. That's what was appropriating Arathon's body instead to do this. I guess that wouldn't manifest as him burning out the mist, so maybe not. So this is he has performed a sacrifice, but then Alethiel has gone quiet now because there's nobody sort of wielding the sword, and the now Arathon has to deal with the wraiths without Alethiel's help, which he was counting on, so that he can last for a long time. And also, Arathon's body has disappeared, so he's fully discorporate now, and Lysair don't fully know what happened to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Arathon's kind of like a shade now, right?
Mm.
He's
Correct. From what we can tell,
from what we can tell. Yeah.
they achieved the body swap, and the what they had done, because they could strike across time. They had planted in advance of them getting captured, planted basically planted an attack across time. So for the moment when that would only manifest when they were back in this position, basically to try to, abjure them, and it would have, as I understand it, through Arathon have twisted and corrupted Traith, via the fragments of his soul that were tangled up there, and then destroyed them from turned on them. So is my understanding.
Okay, interesting.
But
So,
Lysair did his thing, which apparently immolated and completely, destroyed Arathon's body, and so far as we know at this moment, Lysair has passed on.
the the thing that could destroy the fellowship, that was the snippet of trait that Miss Trait has, or was it something else? Was
Yeah,
it a
they used the snippets, the pieces of Traith, to, you know, uh, become cognizant of what the Fellowship were,
hmm,
and that was how they crafted the curse. From
right.
knowledge
Okay.
stolen from Traith, and then their long term plan was to use that knowledge for to place a trap that would ultimately subvert Traith when he
I
was made
see.
whole.
Got it.
And Arathon and Lysair was the carrying the trap, and it would have been used against Arathon to subvert Traith before any of them was aware of it or could do anything.
So that's why Lysair self-immolated.
Yes.
Interesting. So we know that this curse is spanning across time somehow, or rather, not quite spanning, but more like planted maybe at a particular place in time. Um, and Arathon, with his Sesh Crucial given powers, has expansive perception into time and space, apparently. So I'm thinking the time aspect of it might become relevant to whatever he has to do to solve this problem.
Possibly. We don't get the answer in the next small section that you didn't read.
Okay, so I'm going to take my headphones off.
go.
Leave me a message when you're ready and done talking about it.
Okay. It'll be quick. uh, so the next section, rearrangement. Basically, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Chibi. Dakar awakes to a world kind of bereft of 5 sorcerers right now. They're off battling dragons on another world.
Correct.
And
He
him he needs
like as soon as not even a few minutes after they finished sealing up Rockfell, he went and had a vision that told him about the dragons going nuts, which gave them all. So all the sorcerers ran off.
Yes, that's
Physical corporate sorcerers ran off to deal with that.
Yep.
Which leaves only one here who's currently trapped inside Alphane Tower.
That's right. Yeah.
Because
And
is flipping out.
and so now he goes to see Varane, and they are coming up with a plan of some sort.
Yes, because it's
Okay, that's pretty much all I had as far as the questions go there. I don't think anything else because they talk for quite a bit. The Dakar and Varane talk for quite a bit in this section, and
yeah, and of course the travel and everything. It's been 35 days since the Rockfell was sealed up.
yes, okay.
So no one knows what's going on inside of it, but they're like, yeah, if Erethan isn't possessed, he's discorporate, and we'll just have to. We can't deal with that right now.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. And I was like, I gotta stop. Damn it. But
and we also learned that Esfand and Siantra have ran off.
Correct. Yes. All right. Anything else we need to go in that last small section? I think we're
after
good.
that, it's the 3 snippets.
Yeah.
Where Dakar's on his way to the cleanse in Rathane. Caradmon's still stuck dealing with Suscurgial and
Yeah.
And then the Paravians are doing their thing while the Rithan's clans are worried about what's going to happen because there's an invasion coming and they don't have the numbers to deal with it.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Chapter 16.
Excellent. Cannot wait to get to the end and find out how this all wraps up. Okay. Yeah. You would think last 3 chapters of an 11 book long series that it would just be like sort of winding down, but I have a sense that it's going to ramp up a lot more before it winds down. Maybe we get the last section for some wind down.
Yeah, we still got a good
110-ish.
20
You
pages.
will
Yeah.
never guess who saves the day.
Okay. Lysair. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks, guys. We will meet in a couple of weeks to discuss the end of this section and discuss the end of this book. And hopefully the author Janny Wurts will join us for that final discussion. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.